draws us back together. Now your enemy is my enemy.
His name is Safin.
And what does he want?
Revenge. Me.
When her secret finds its way out, it'll be the death of you.
You can imagine why I've come back to play.
There's a young lady in Santiago I want you to meet.
You're late.
When you're ready. Salute.
I met your new 00. She's a disarming young woman.
I get why you shot him.
Yeah, well, everyone tries at least once.
James Bond.
We both eradicate people to make the world a better place. I just want to be a little tidier.
Hello and welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast and the final destination for our road to No Time to Die. What do you want to watch is look back at Daniel Craig's era as James Bond. I'm your host Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, British secret agent Ciaran Marchant.
It's Marchant. Ciaran Marchant. We're going to spend this whole episode with subtle nods and goodbye tips to nod to the Explosion Network as it was. Because by the end of it, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, okay. And also join us, the Explosion Network's own M, Dylan Blight.
What? Is it because I'm making poison?
I guess so.
Damn, Dylan's poisoning the internet.
Turns out Dylan was the villain the entire time.
Goodness,
I've heard this.
No, but we just kind of dropped the connotations of that like halfway through the podcast, and then we're good again, right?
I mean, you fixed the problem that you created, so I mean, it's not too bad. Or
kill
help.
my own monsters. Kill my own monsters, you know.
Alright, please be aware we'll be free to discussing anything and everything about the plot, themes, and ending of this film. So everyone watch to come back later. Of course, here in Australia, it is in cinemas everywhere. Probably will be for a long time. So with that said, let's jump to our discussion of No Time to Die, directed by Cary Fukunaga, screenplay by Neal, Purvis, Robert Wade, Cary, Joji, Fukunaga, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, story by Neal, Purvis, Robert Wade, and Cary, Joji, Fukunaga. Based on James Bond by Ian Fleming, starring Daniel Craig, Rami Malek, Leah Seydoux, Lashana, Lynch, Ben Whishaw, Naomie Harris, Jeffrey Wright, Christoph Waltz, and Ralph Fiennes. James Bond is enjoying a tranquil life in Jamaica after leaving active service. However, his peace is short-lived as his old CIA friend, Felix Leiter, shows up and asks for his help. The mission to rescue a kidnapped scientist turns out to be far more treacherous than expected, leading Bond on the trail of a mysterious villain who's armed with a dangerous new technology. Ciaran, what did you think of No Time to Die?
What did I think of No Time to Die? You know what? Overall, I thought this was pretty great. I enjoyed my time with it. I have a soft spot in my heart for TV shows and movies that when there is a change of the guard or the lead actor is changing, or like, you know, for this is Daniel Craig's final run, I enjoy it when they do take the time to kind of have their last kind of outing as a send-off and a lot of callbacks and kind of taking in everything that has been Daniel Craig's run as James Bond and folding it into its story. And I think they did that pretty damn well. I feel like this movie could have been an hour longer and maybe would have been better with an hour longer. I feel like some parts of this movie feel kind of a bit underdone and a bit rushed. I really do enjoy Daniel Craig in this movie. I think he does another fantastic job. This is above and beyond Spectre in so many ways. There's a lot of logic that I don't quite understand, or I'm not 100% across with some characters in this movie, which I don't really get. And I think I was I was pretty hyped for this movie than maybe the first hour, because I thought it was going to be going in a really interesting direction, where it was going to be this James Bond versus everyone else style movie, where it's working against MI6, who with M is trying to cover up this fucking big mistake that he's done, and kind of him fighting against that. And I was a little disappointed when those feelings that Bond had towards MI6 kind of got brushed under a rug pretty fucking quickly. And there was no outcome of that, and it was just kind of just get to work with it. I think Rami Malek, Ramy. It's because we've been doing Spider-Man. Ramy is just in my head, but Rami Malek. I think he does pretty well with what he's given. But at the same time, I just think he's there because Bond needs a Bond villain. And that just kind of feels like the whole purpose for it at this point. Like, he doesn't have much purpose in this movie. His motivations are kind of weird, and it never goes deep enough into the motivations to really make you understand what he wants. I think his character has the most weird logic, kind of loopholes in the whole thing. But I think the core of this movie is I really do love Madeline. I actually think they rescued Madeline and James's relationship in this one compared to Inspector. I think it's done a lot better and there's a lot more connection. It was interesting that they do a 5-year jump. Guessing that kind of time-wise catches it up to modern day. Because is it been 5 years since the last movie, or is it longer? Does anybody know?
Well, we've been waiting for this movie for 5 years, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I don't know if it would have been 5 years in real time if it had come out when it did, but probably is by now.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's just got some pacing issues. I don't think it would have even minded. Me personally, I wouldn't mind it another hour.
Actually, it's been 6 years.
6 years?
It came out 2015, so.
Right, okay. I wouldn't have minded another hour just so there's more time. I feel like a lot of things are rushed in the last third of this movie. I feel like the ending is great. I saw Dylan tweet about this, but I teared up at the end of the movie. But at the same time, it was kind of like very kind of gloves are off, we're done, wrap it up, boys, send her home. There was no kind of lingering action effects or real kind of... You had the one scene of the MI6 agents kind of saying their goodbye to Bond. And then Madeline and Matilda in the car afterwards. I was really... No, we'll save talking about the kind of that until later in the show. But yeah, no, great. It just has its problem in the script, I think, in the kind of overall what they're trying to do in this movie.
Dylan, what do you think of No Time to Die?
I really liked it. I think the only thing wrong with it is the villain. Other than that, I really like the Bond quote unquote aspect of the story is really good, and the 007. The spy plot with the villain and all that sort of stuff is very forgettable, confusing, doesn't really make sense. That seems like the part that obviously got the least amount of effort, and it's the least interesting part by far. Like, I could not tell you that person's name other than Rami Malek plays his actor. I don't know the villain. I don't really care for him. He had a cool introduction at the start of the film that was really creepy with the mask and all that sort of shit, and then from there we don't see him for about 10 weeks, and then he comes back and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, cool, you're a bad guy, do your little speech, do your little monologue, cool story. But the rest of it, I'm totally aboard. I think the action's really good in this. Lots of really exciting explosive action scenes that are shot well. Cinematography all around is fantastic. There's lots of really good use of lighting and natural lighting that I was really happy to see throughout this movie. Like, there are a lot of digital stuff, I guess, towards the end of the movie, but there seems to be like a lot of legit, just good cinematography throughout of it. Score's really good. All the new actors are great, even in their little small bit parts for people who show up and whatnot. And then obviously the finale is, I think, is the part that everyone will be talking about the most, because in the history of Bond, he's never died. Like, it's not just, well, not really, like he's had a fake death or whatever, but he's never actually died, like in the books or in any of the movies or anything. They've never killed off a Bond, and I don't think it doesn't make the movie good simply because he does. It's just because it seemed, I think it felt earned for this version of Bond, for Daniel Craig to do that. And I think ultimately, when I got to the end of the movie, I was like, you know what? Because still for half the movie, I was like, Madeline, still don't care for you. Get the fuck out of here. And by the end of the movie, I was like, I don't know, you two are actually acting your ass off here to the degree that I completely forgot about all my problems with your relationship and how weird and rushed it was. Even though at the start of this movie, I was like, oh, fucking just... And then when she gets shoved on the train, I'm like, yeah, right. She's gone for the rest of the movie. Thank fucking God. Like, let's get her the hell out of here. And then by the end, I was like, you know what? I'm down to this. Especially, I think this is Daniel Craig's best acted Bond movie out of all of them. Even I would say he's acting better here than even Skyfall, but yeah, I think the villain is the one detractor and that side, and then the as good as the finale is with Craig and everything, just everything once we arrive at villain base is very meh for the most part. Yeah, I still think it was very, very good.
Yeah, I think obviously it's a great note for the series, for his run to end on. Like, pretty good action, a lot of good characters, you know. I do think, you know, they did win us over with that relationship. Like, it helps that they introduced the kid, who we all assumed it was Bond's, like, straight away, and she was, like, lying to us, right? Yeah.
I'll put out there straight away, not to sound like I'm, like, too smart or, like, doing this, but every single twist and turn, I 100%, like, predicted.
So, I almost punked myself out on some of the ending stuff, which I'll get into in a minute once you're done, but, yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I guess there's not much more to add. I'll hit all the points. I think there's some really cheesy lines, and like even the very last line of the film, I'm like, why'd you have to say it like that? And that kind of stuff. But you know, like you said, the villains kind of, you know, doesn't make a lot of this doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a bunch of logic stuff we'll have to get into, but yeah, cool action sequences. There were some cool gadgets in this film as well, which we haven't really seen in this run. Not necessarily from Bond himself, but you know. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. So, Ciaran, what do you want to talk about?
Nothing. I was just had this mind boat that kind of all 5 of these movies have had a very similar villain in all of them, and it's probably its biggest downfall, especially the last 3. The last 3 in all effects have kind of been... What's that face for? Between Christoph Waltz...
Javier Bardem? You're going to give...
I think he still fits in the same mold. I thought he was the best of the 3, but I think he fits in the same mold as like this somewhat sickly, intelligent, kind of creepy...
They're not all the author of your misery.
It's just, yeah, I don't know. But
author of all your pain.
No, I went through like a really weird moment in like the last couple scenes of this movie where I was trying to work out how they were going to end this movie. When he sprayed the stuff on Bond, I was like, oh fuck, Bond's going to die. And then I'm like, wait, this is going to be the reveal where Bond's going to be like, she's actually not my kid. And that's how he works it out, because it's
because he kills Madeline and then the kid doesn't die.
No, but because the nano doesn't affect him, and I thought because it was Matilda's and blah, blah, blah. And then my brain like finally clicked. I'm like, oh wait, he can't go back to Madeline because if he does, she's going to die. Because they have this whole thing with the nanobots can't be removed or killed or whatever. Even though
let's just talk about nanobots, guys.
They're never good. In any movie ever, they're never good. And they've used them in James Bond before, I'm pretty sure. In a
Was it the Dine of the Day?
Tomorrow? No, I thought it was like Tomorrow Never Dies or whatever that one. Maybe.
It was a Pierce Brosnan one. It was
definitely a Pierce Brosnan one.
Pierce Brosnan definitely had it. It had nanobots.
So the nanobots are also self-replicating and cannot be destroyed in any way.
My brain
Invincible
was like,
nanobots.
Dude, just like
why aren't you making
yourself,
the stuff?
Right?
Why aren't you making normal-sized bots out of the stuff you make nanobots from? That's what I want to know.
They're weird. Shouldn't somebody in like the R&D department be like, "Hey, these are cool, but there's no safety switch on these. They're just fucking there forever." So
how are they harvesting them?
They're just building them? I don't know.
They're just in that patch of water that she kicks the scientist into.
Well, that's different. I think that was just random poison. But maybe that was the whole... I don't know. Makes no sense. This whole thing is just... But then I think that realization for me that, he has to die now because he can't go back to her because these nanobots are on him forever. Fuck, that's kind of shit. I was waiting for them, and I was going to be so mad if they bailed out on the death of James Bond by the final scene being
there was
Madeline.
like a fridge or something.
No, the fridge. Yes, no. All I was waiting for was like a final scene of Madeline and Matilda going home, walking to the house, and there being like a package or something, and opening up the package, and that fucking stupid rabbit doo-doo was going to be there. And I was like...
Isn't that the saddest thing? She never got it back.
She never got it back. But it's a good thing she never got it back, because if she got it back, it means Bond survived. There's this whole, Bond survived, but he can't be with her because of the nanobots. But no. They're like, nah, he's dead. Good. Great. Peace out, Bond.
I mean, it does put a definitive end. Well, you would think it would put a definitive end to Daniel Craig. He's not coming back next again.
No. Unless in like some kind of flashback or something.
So they already announced ahead of this. Like I already knew they'd said, "Hey, we're going to start looking for the next Bond in 2022." And going into this, like knowing that, it doesn't really change anything because you just assume that they always cast a new Bond. It's like announcing they're going to cast a new Doctor in Doctor Who. It's like okay, but when after you see him die straight away, I was like, oh, okay, so they're like not only casting a new Bond, but they're doing another full reboot at this stage. Like, Daniel Craig just gets to have his own set of movies, whereas the other ones, they weren't like fully, this one's a sequel, but they all like sort of pretended they were all the same character, Sean Connery.
You had the idea that it wasn't just 007 that was the carryover, it was the name James Bond was the carryover.
Yeah, they were all playing the same James Bond character, it was just different people and whatnot. At the end of this, I sat through the entire credits. At the very end, it does come up with a title card that says James Bond will return. So that is at the end of the movie.
It is, as always. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, might as well just knock out Rami Malek while we're here, playing
Whoa. Like, he was alright. Like, the villain was bad, but like, we don't need to like...
Safin. You know? Obviously, he gets introduced at the start of the film as trying to kill Madeline. I'll
tell you what, I'm so glad that we did a rewatch, because I swear, if it had been 5 years since I last watched this movie, it would have come in, it would have been like, Mr. White. I'd be like, who the fuck is Mr. White? Whereas I'm coming in like, aha!
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, he's got a room with all the cameras. Yeah, it's his thing.
Which is why watching that entire scene, I'm like, this is young, what a name. Like, straight away, I'm...
Dude,
like,
can I say, that jump scare at the fucking start, holy shit. I was not okay with that. Like, just him in the window.
Play a game, Sydney.
I was like, what the fuck?
He took like 3 or 4 bullets to the chest, right? You'd think.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't really know where they
I assumed he had a vest or something
vest on.
Because it seemed he just
that makes sense.
like he got...
Because it was like a combination between taking the bullets and also he fell off that landing and fell a good decent amount.
So, what is your interpretation of his motivations?
I don't fucking know.
Beyond wanting to kill Blomfield and destroy Spectre. I mean, that's good.
Some connection with Madeline because he saved her, but beyond that, who the fuck knows? There was never.
I found the plot.
Sorry,
I found the plot here. Sorry. So let me just read this for everyone who doesn't see it. Eventually, Bond befriends and falls in love with Natalie after rescuing her from falling off a ladder while putting up a banner, and he's invited to her 16th birthday party, where he goes undercover to her father's lab. Bond finds out that Dr. Brinkman is planting his nanobot, which can destroy any carbon or silicon-based substance, to destroy the world's defense system so he can threaten anyone who opposes him. So, look, if you felt like you'd seen this movie before, you had.
Just with
Bond.
Just with Frankie Muniz as the lead. God, I can't wait for Daniel Craig.
What a reference. What a fool.
Oh, God. Were they at Ice Cubes? They're at Ice Cubes, though, weren't they? Yeah.
They were, yeah. I had that DVD. Watched it a lot.
Oh, God. I don't. His logic. The biggest thing that I was like, man, this movie needs another hour. When he was like, just to Matilda was like, oh, you don't want my protection anymore? Okay, see ya.
See ya.
I was like,
here, run around this
What?
giant poison-filled base.
I'm like, what? Why?
And then she just popped up under a table.
Yep. And then he's like, oh, I need to go meet these buyers or whatever. The first buyers arriving.
Why
And
aren't you
then-
just escaping?
And then cuts to him randomly being the one that closed the silos and then running into Bond again? I don't fucking know.
Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense. If he shuts the silos, gets underneath, then where all the poison is, I guess the missiles bounce off and he's perfectly fine.
But how does he even know at that point that there's missiles coming? Like,
I guess he assumes because they opened the thing and blew up a bunch of shit. You know? It's not great.
know.
Here's my other question. What's the age gap between Rami Malek and Leah Sadowitz?
Oh, at least 20 years, right? Like 15, 20?
Rami Malek is 4 years older than this.
Yeah, but like character-wise,
Has to be.
it has to be like,
unless
what,
at
15,
the
20
most
years?
he was like 19, 20 at the start of this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and then at the same time you're like, okay, if that's the case there, what is the age difference between Bond and her? Because
That doesn't matter.
That has never mattered in James Bond history at
I
all.
know it's never mattered, but they seem reasonably close in age. But yeah, it's a whole thing. But Ramy does what he can do with
He
the
does, yeah.
disfigured
He's
or
got
just-
disfigured face, and then, you know.
What? Another Bond villain with a disfigured face? Add him to the list!
Yep.
Can we rank
I didn't mind
face
that he
disfig-
didn't.
Can we rank face disfigurations at the end of this movie, just so we're all...
Sure, which way do you want to...
I don't know.
I think I would
It's-
put... probably, Javier Bardem at the top. After he pulls out the thing, he would be number one.
Yep.
Mads Mikkelsen would be at the bottom because he was perfectly... Well,
No, he had the leaky eye! He had
That's
the
true.
leaky
He'd be
eye.
second last. It'd be Quantum of Solace dude.
Yes, because
He
there
was
was nothing
perfectly
wrong
fine.
with his face.
Nothing wrong with
100%
him.
fine. How dare he?
Yeah.
And then Christoph Waltz and Rami Malek are both kind of even.
Well, it depends. I think
'Cause
Rami Malek is
really-
more face, whereas Blomfield's just the eye, right?
No, but like Rami Malek was. I don't know. His face was not that messed up compared to losing an eye.
I don't know. If all my veins were showing on my face, I think pretty
It wasn't that
noticeable.
bad. It
Pretty
was
noticeable
fine.
skin condition.
You could get skin.
You know, Christoph
care.
Waltz can wear an eye patch and it'd be perfectly fine.
All right, we've.
We've the definitive
Dylan's face.
rankings.
I'm so glad this isn't a video podcast.
You gotta put it in an article. Top 5 ranking of all facial things. Don't worry, there'll be a bunch more ranking in this film. This podcast. Let's talk about 007. Lashana Lynch. Good edition, bad edition? How is
Woke. It's woke.
Woke?
It's bloody woke.
There was a lot of woke in this movie. Fucking Q has a boyfriend or is dating.
That was a
man.
nice touch.
I was like, damn straight. Good on you, Q.
Yeah, you have
I
a
was like,
personal
get it.
life.
Get it, buddy.
Get
Appreciate
it.
you. Yeah. Get
What was
it.
he cooking, though? He was steaming like some...
He was like steaming like
zucchinis or
dumplings or something, or like something along those lines.
Anyway, Lashana Lynch.
She's great in everything she's been in. Or at least everything I've watched her in. She's really great in this.
What have you watched her in?
My one... Captain Marvel and a couple other things, I guess. Can't remember. No, I've only watched it in probably 3 things. But I mean, Captain Marvel, she's great. What the fuck was I saying? Oh, the one disappointment in this coming to an end is that I would have been perfectly fine with them just going, nah, fuck it, Bond's dead, 007, next movie, it's her. But we're never going to get that because they're just rebooting now.
Could they not?
They could do 2 movies, I guess.
They could,
technically.
yeah. They obviously, while they wait, give Bond a bit
Ain't
more
gonna
time
happen.
and just
Ain't
have
gonna-
one
I don't
fill
think
in
so.
between.
I think they'd be worried about
Give this crew one last go round.
Remember the outrage when they even announced that she was cast as 007 in this? People lost their fucking mind.
Yeah, but now they've seen the film and watched her in it, and they're probably all like, "Yeah, okay."
Oh, you reckon I can't?
Thing is, it's very clear in this movie that they weren't setting her up to actually take the mantle or to take the lead spot.
Yeah,
she was very much a.
All right, it took me 10 seconds. IMDb user review: 1 out of 10 stars. Pathetic, an embarrassment to Bond's legacy. James Bond kneeling and saying "I'm sorry," as well as cutting an apple for breakfast. His number
Whoa, what do you got against apples?
That's full stop. His number being given to a woman while he's taking the back seat. 3-hour waste of my time, then killing James Bond was the nail in the coffin. 2 out of 10. So everyone's okay
it was
with
a
this.
nail in a coffin, but
Looking at the reviews, I'm stunned so many people are okay with them killing James Bond off. It was bad enough the film was profoundly mediocre, but it was necessary to add the ultimate shark jump for a finale. There have been many bad Bond films. One far worse objectively than this, but killing off the main character of a major franchise is stupid. This will be the only film in the series I won't add to the home collection.
Wow.
And there's a few over here complaining that terrible.
I feel like this movie was just like, you had to kill him. I think it just had to.
Woke,
he had to
woke
die.
disappointment. Yet another political. Yeah. So yeah.
I feel like this, like they kind of had to kill him. Like I feel like this movie doesn't make as much sense if he lives. Because there's no way Bond goes and lives a happy family life. How many of these movies have ended?
I mean, it would have made sense if he had lived. You just never see Madeline or his daughter again.
That is so dark. It's actually a happier ending.
That's
dark as shit. But how many of these movies?
I would have been
right?
on board.
Like, how many times have they done it in these?
Can you
movies
imagine them saying goodbye like through a glass window or something?
Oh God!
No, but the problem is, like, I was thinking about this as he's climbing that ladder because I was trying to like think about logically. In the way they've explained it is that the nanobots travel, so he wouldn't have been able to, like, even him leaving and then talking to someone else who may accidentally one day bump into them.
Yeah, like
it may be a year from now, but he's still spreading the virus. There was literally no way. They made sure to chuck that line in earlier and explain how they move from one person to another, which is really funny because of course they delayed this during the coronavirus. And all that. Yeah. But during that scene, they kind of set the table and said, no, he can't just seclude himself.
There's no loopholes.
He'd have to seclude himself from everyone on Earth to 100% be guaranteed that it won't ever get back to one of them.
And I think, I think maybe 3 or 4 of these movies have ended with Bond being like, peace out, I'm done with this life. I'm going to go live with my new significant other or live by myself in seclusion, and then just the next movie starts, it's like, Bond, there's somebody after you, or Bond, we need you back. It's like,
it really has been like however long his tenure's been. He's taken all those times off being shot.
20 years. Yeah.
Or
his I guess thematically his collection of movies come down to 2 factors. They always come down to how Bond wants to live this normal life, but he can never get it or commit to it, or he's pulled out of it or whatever. And then the movies nearly every single one comes back into a theme about how technology is never better than the man. Like there's all these, even in this movie and several others, like you have all these lines about being in a room, pulling the trigger, and then the last movie was all about, technology versus the actual spy and all. Like I would say they were the 2 prominent themes, like both about how the person pulling the trigger is the important thing and not using this technology and whatever else.
It always goes wrong. That's why.
Yeah, and that was, and then the Bond just being unable to escape this life or spy life or whatever.
He did have, it looked like he had a pretty good setup in town of Jamaica.
He did.
Yeah. Nice house. Fishing.
It was a very nice house. Several nice houses, apparently. It's got them all set up in their own little areas.
No, it was like a separate bedroom. I mean, it's all about one building. But back to Lashana Lynch.
She was really good.
She was really good, yeah. She does have some of the cheesiest lines. Like
You reckon?
It's Dylan, it's your time to die.
I missed that. When did she say that?
She said
when
that
she
to
kicked the dude off
the fucking bridge.
Oh, she did. Yeah, I didn't mind. I didn't really think about it.
I was
too busy going, yeah, fucking take that, you racist fuck.
I feel like there's a couple of things.
He did deserve it.
Yes, that was as soon as I was like, "Damn, okay."
You know what I could do to a lab with your entire race? I was like, "You're so fucking dead."
Yeah, it's like it's
Why are you?
one of the things that I feel like was maybe cut her short was, one was that she was made to look a bit incompetent at one part, like where she was chasing after the Logan Ash dude while he was fucking chasing after Bond. And then I was waiting for her to rock up during that sequence and save either Bond or save the Matilda and Madeline. And she just never appeared. And then she just rocks up a little bit later to pick Bond up. It's like...
Yeah.
I'm glad she didn't, because I really liked that whole... it was a very like man versus nature sort of fight scene.
I love Bond doing it. I just think if she had some kind of involvement with it, it would have just made her come off a little bit better. I was excited when I thought most of the movie was going to be Bond and her playing some kind of spy versus spy type shit, like having like these sequences of them almost opposed to each other. I thought that'd be an interesting dynamic. And I was also, half of me was like, when she gave up 007, I was like, this is where she gets given 006 and then she betrays him. And it's like, haha,
God.
006 betraying 007 again. I was like, motherfucker.
That was like another cheesy thing. I'm like, oh, you didn't need to do that, you know?
No.
What?
Or when she's going, 00 what? Several times. It's like, play cool, man.
I was surprised how, I think this is the Phoebe, sorry.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge input is a lot of the comedy in this movie, I would feel. And I was fine with it. I actually thought this movie was a lot funnier than any of the other ones, and none of it felt out of place. There are some good zingers in this. Yeah.
Can't remember any off the top of my head.
I think the whole Cuba sequence was great, but I just think that's because of...
I just showed someone your watch cue. Blew his mind.
So that's fairly brutal. Good on you. Even though that dude, I was like, shouldn't you be blind? I thought the whole thing was the tea was that was going to blind him.
I think she was just fucking with him.
Fucking with him.
Yeah.
She lies.
She doesn't know anything about plants.
That's her character trait, is that she lies.
Yeah. It's just filled with secrets.
Damn, defining act.
So I think the thing with this movie is that Lashana Lynch is good enough that I would love to see more, but I'm actually fine that she wasn't in it any more than she was, because they, even at 2 hours 45 or whatever it is, it still was it felt short. I enjoyed it enough that it actually felt short, and the movie was focused on Daniel Craig, James Bond, B, Madeline Seydoux. And that had to be the core focus for the movie to work, so they had to commit time. If you had Lashana tagging along for a lot of those other scenes with them, it would have ruined it. She would have felt like the third wheeler. You know?
Yeah. Actually, on the runtime, I didn't realize it was 2 hours 45 minutes. It certainly didn't feel like it.
No, it didn't. As I said, that's why I was like, I think this movie could have gone longer. Would it have fixed it? Maybe, maybe not. Now that we've discussed it a little bit, I'm kind of like...
I would need a lot more time to
explain why Rami Malek.
Yeah,
it's almost like this movie should have been two movies. Like it should have been a two-parter, which is also a fucking trend of
again terrible idea.
Yeah, which is like, but yeah, it's just the first third of this movie is like cleaning up Spectre and cleaning up some loose ends from past films and kind of trying to tie those into a neat little bow before it even starts getting to Ramy stuff. Like he's not even really in this movie until.
He probably doesn't show up. He shows up at the start and he doesn't show up again for like probably 90 minutes.
And the person at the start doesn't have to be him. It could be a fucking
stunt double.
A stunt double.
I hope it was him, or else he got like second credit for
not much.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I mean, it would have to be somebody else because he's like 20-something years younger. So
you don't see his face though. I mean, he has the mask on.
Exactly. So what's the point of paying Rami Malek to be there?
Yeah.
In the cold. Just fucking send somebody else to do it.
Just get a stunt doubled, yeah.
Give the men the day off and
his paycheck, you know.
Get some rest. Get some extra time in the makeup chair. Can I say I was disappointed that we didn't get more Ana de Armas?
She was fantastic.
It was perfect. That was all we needed. Why would I want more? Why would she need to tag along? It makes sense. I feel like every
I would
character
have
was
just liked
just
to
there.
see more of her. She was great.
She was there for the time. She was great. She was funny. She kicked some ass.
It just felt like
perfect.
It felt like Daniel Craig was doing a solid.
But
Hey,
this
do you
is
want to
the
come
thing.
be in this film?
All right, here's how this works. In this film, she's a liaison for Felix. So Bond meets up with her. They do the mission. She says, "This is where I leave you." They go their separate ways. That makes perfect sense. If this movie was made 10 years ago, she's a liaison for Felix. They do their mission. They go sleep together. Wakes up in the morning. Bond leaves her in bed. Like that is
it would have been she comes back.
That is totally
and kills
how
Bond
it plays
later.
out. Yeah, well, something like that. But
Or
like this,
I thought for sure she like switched out the vials or whatever.
why do you think everyone's?
No, that was the
bad?
thing.
Like-
That was the thing when I was like, wait, is that actually a cigar for Felix? Because they kind of made like a semi thing out of it that I was like, is that something bad? Is it actually? Yeah, it was. I just had the thought of maybe it would have been kind of cheesy, but also kind of cool if Bond died smoking that cigar. I would have been like, that's kind of a nice nod. And a very Bond thing. But at the same time,
very cheesy.
take away from the heartfelt moment that was the ending. So yeah.
How do we feel about Felix going out as well? You know?
That was.
Why does all the
cry.
people Bond really cares about die in water?
It's
Who else doesn't? Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
Well, that's rough.
you had to think about it for a second. Yeah.
I think I really like Jeffrey Wright in this movie. I think he doesn't overstay his welcome because he gets killed.
He gets killed.
But I think I've always liked Daniel Craig and Jeffrey Wright's chemistry on screen all the way since Casino Royale. Felix has always been kind of those weird characters in, like, especially in Casino Royale, that was like, hey, I'm here, blah, 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 and I'm gone. And it's like, oh, okay, sure, you're always on screen, but at the same time, we're not spending.
And you're super busy now.
Yeah, it's so no, it's nice to see him. He looked fucking terrible though. Like, really good job on making him just, I don't know,
tired.
Just tired and aged, and like he was kind of done with this shit. But no, I think he did great with what he had.
Fucking Billy Magnuson. You know, I fell for it. I'm like, wow, he's a Bond super fan. Look, he's like super excited to meet him.
What?
Super smiley and stuff.
You know what they should have
known better.
done?
Should have known better that he was.
So this guy, I'm like, this guy is a motherfucker that's going to turn on him. And Ana de Armas, I'm like, she's fine. But you're the complete opposite.
Yeah.
You're like, she's going to turn on him. He's fine.
I wish they hadn't diluted the, I don't want to call it the sidekick villain role into two different roles this time. I wish they had just had him for like majority of it. And
what, you
He
didn't
wasn't
like
a sidekick
Cyclops?
villain. There was two villains in this. Two main villains and a bunch of side villains.
I don't know. I just wish there'd been more of him throughout the whole movie instead of just this Cyclops guy. I wish the Cyclops guy just died in the first sequence.
No.
And then just have him as this kind of cocky, confident American that is fighting Bond and going back and forth with Bond, and the whole time he's like...
Cyclops is like the armored version of the soldiers you have to fight in video games, you know? He's like slightly up a level.
It's just
Yeah.
slightly... Right,
Yeah.
makes complete sense.
Yeah. You know? I did enjoy when, you know, Bond knocks him out the first time and then the eye goes rolling out of his face. They never explain how... Oh, no. Blomfield's eye was bionic as well, wasn't it? That was the thing.
Yeah, they
How did
had
they
like
not notice that he has a bionic eye? When it was pretty obvious the first time we see Cyclops, he's got a fake eye.
You would think that at some point going into that facility, there'd be some kind of metal detector or X-ray device or scanning device or something to be like, hey, what's going on here? Blah, 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 blah. But, no, not at all. Also, would have been kind of cool if instead of Cyclops changing size just randomly, if he had just been like trying to get revenge for Spectre the whole time. That would have been kind of cool. I don't know. It was like they said at the start of this movie, they were like, "Oh, there's all these different sides vying for the whatever this fucking MacGuffin is. For Heracles, we've got the CIA, we've got MI6, we've got Spectre, we've got this mystery gang, and then about a third, maybe halfway through the movie, like, majority of those have kind of been either grouped up to one side or swept off the rug. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. I just wish it had been more espionage of that kind. Would have been really cool.
Christoph Waltz, you brought up Blomfield. I really enjoyed Christoph Waltz in this film. Short, sweet, but he had some good banter with Daniel Craig in this one, so improvement on the last film, in my opinion.
I was interested to see if he was actually going to die. Because, of course, they made the big thing out of, like...
him touching her hands, yeah.
Yeah, Bond touching the exact place on her wrist where she had sprayed the stuff. And, yeah, just...
Sorry, I totally laughed when Bond sees Madeline for the first time. He's like, I'm never lose control. And, like, fucking Ciaran with his never freezes shit. That's what I was thinking at that moment. Yeah.
Bond never freezes. Right.
Yeah. How do we feel about Bond having a kid?
I love
Someone who fucks that much should have had one by now, but sure. I mean, let's be real.
I loved it. I think it, that
I mean, it would have made more sense that, as part of his MI6 induction, he gets a vasectomy, but, he's going to be sleeping with so many people.
Vasectomies aren't forever. They can also fail.
And also, I don't think MI6 is like, look, part of your job is fucking, also, so we're going to pay...
Seduction,
MI6 doesn't have, like, the red room like Black Widow does with the KGB, okay? It's just fucking... I was about to say they're a little bit more humane, but then I'm like, wait, they built nanobots that could target somebody's DNA. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I think, that review said it was a bad thing, but I fucking love that scene with him cutting up the apple. I love him just being like, yeah, good shit.
I would have liked it more if Leah Seydoux wasn't there. Like, if she was still asleep. Yeah? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, same. I thought that's
he was like Bond trying to figure out what to get this child.
And it just makes less sense that she's just kind of stood there and not, like... doing anything, or not being like, hey, you probably need to make her something a bit more substantial than apple pieces.
No, that's all kids survive on. It definitely felt different to any Bond movie I can remember. So I don't think there's been many, if any, children in any of the previous ones.
It was really weird watching a child in a James Bond movie, but yeah.
I think
they did a comic series I read once, the James Bond comic series, where he like helps a child. They tried to do like a Hawkeye thing, but
I think it got me like in Daniel Craig's final monologue. I think that is maybe his single best bit of acting in James Bond as a whole for me, is like his kind of on the phone to Madeline and just him talking about, oh, you've made something perfect and stuff. I was like, damn, man, damn, that's
But then, don't you kind of wish they had more moments together? Bond and the kid, like bonding?
No. Because I feel like that would have driven it too much home, and it's just a case of he's had these fleeting moments, and that has been enough to sell him that he is willing to truly die and lay his life on the line for her. And
lay her life off.
Well, lay her life down. He's just like, look, that was really cool how high you threw that pillow. I want to see how high you can toss the girl, Rami Malek.
That makes sense, right?
What?
No, him throwing the pillow. Why did he do it?
Because he wanted to prove what he could do. He's like, she weighs as light as a feather, and then he threw the pillow because
nobody believed she was as light as a feather.
But he was gonna like Seydoux, and apparently his soldiers are that heartless and trained that if he threw this girl up in the air, they were just gonna like rip her to shreds with bullets. Yeah, I don't quite get that one.
No, clearly the villain bit is like the most underdone logical thing, and I feel there's a certain cynical part of me is like they added a kid just to make Rami Malek's character seem more threatening. It's much more threatening if you're threatening a child.
I think the kid was added for Bond, and then
Yeah.
it helped, like, they used it for the villain as well. But I don't think they've done it the opposite way. I think the child was added for Bond's story first.
Like, I almost would have thought it would have been better or like a more interesting written story if he had just, like, I don't know, tried to separate Madeline from Matilda, but like kept Madeline with him and just thrown Matilda into a cell or something, or tried to get rid of her, because
isn't that what he did?
He also gives up on her very quickly at the end. It's like, well, if you don't want my protection, then bye.
but
bye.
it's just a case of it would have been like, it would have probably made his motivations much, because he's just so asphyxiated on Madeline and being with her and being together and stuff.
Oh, on Madeline. Okay.
Yes. So if he fixated on Madeline and had Madeline around and was like trying to make her, comply with
Connected
him,
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and then been very cold and very cruel to the child, I think it would have worked better on like a multiple levels of making you further dislike him, but also giving him kind of more not understandable motivations, but just they make sense.
How do we feel about M in this movie? He's
a bad
kind
guy.
of a dick at the start, right?
Well, I
He's a dick, and then all of a sudden
created the virus.
He's a dick, and then all of a sudden he's not a dick.
Because Bond talked to him and he learned the error of his ways.
Can I actually ask, right? So the person who first called the Russian scientist, or whatever Eastern European scientist, was that M, or was that Rami Malek's character, or was
the person
that
who tells him
Spectre?
Spectre's about to attack?
Yes.
It's Ash.
Oh, okay, right, okay. Well,
I
that's
think.
because,
Or it could have been Rami Malek. It's one of those two because they're working together.
well, that's the thing. Because I was like, oh, is that the thing, or like, because then the part with the whole. Why did they not kill Bond at the same time when they killed Spectre?
Because he only wanted to kill Spectre.
But like that kind of makes no fucking sense. I would have been like, that makes complete sense.
That would have been a great way to kill Bond. Like, Spectre's plan was pretty solid.
Spectre's plan, easily solid. Just kill him and Spectre at the same time. It's kind of just like, for me, it would have been cooler if that had been M orchestrating that, and then from then on it skewed off into Rami's plan.
No, Bond wasn't even on Rami Malek's radar.
Then that's a shit job by Rami Malek if he's fucking asphyxiated on Madeline.
The movie implies in the scene where he saves her that he goes from like a sadistic sort of person out to kill everyone to he has this weird moment with her, like watching her die, and then he chooses to save her. So now he more or less feels like he owns her, and that's
So I would have thought, as somebody who thought that he owns her, he'd be like, oh, I want to get rid of this guy that she's clearly in love with. And, like, went to run away with and had this weird thing with, and still is obviously in love with him because he knows that there's some. Like, I
just think that there's a big like when you go down that hole, you go, what has this motherfucker been doing for all these other James Bond movies? Like, what has he been up to?
There's just, which I think the other thing, like, it would have just been. For me personally, it would have just been if M had orchestrated Spectre dying and doing it that way, and then kind of been like, hey, motherfucker, I did that. This is what I want to happen with this weapon. And, like, kind of added some gusto to what he was trying to do, instead of just randomly having a scene where Bond meets up with him and be like, yo, bro, I know what's going on. Let's fix it. And then they kind of, like, Street Fighter / end of Rocky boxing match to be like, hey, we're friends again. And it was just, I don't. It was just disappointing part in the script for me personally.
Okay. Was there anything else you guys want to talk about from the film?
There was the jump scare, but the other part that made me kind of not jump in my seat, but kind of was the sound design around that poor dude getting clotheslined while on the motorbike by that rope. I was like, damn, that's visceral. That's
Yeah,
that was
it's
insane.
pretty visceral.
But I also appreciate. I think all the action in this movie is pretty fucking great overall.
I gotta say, I love the. Well, I was really impressed by the fight scene up to the missile silo tower. Yeah, up the staircase.
That was
which
almost
was like one shot. Yeah.
Nah, that's a fake
What?
one shot. There were cuts.
They were of course there
hidden
was cuts, but you know, it's made to look like one shot. And that was really impressive.
And also, how dare they do that much damage to the poor DB5? That car's iconic and amazing, and
What, the completely shoot it off at the start?
yeah, just fucking roll it. I'm like, even though that moment with Bond and Madeline of Bond just kind of being very numb and very, I'm glad that wasn't a moment of him being cool, being like, I'm gonna wait for the perfect moment to pull this off. It was more just
pissed.
a case of like, pissed, what am I going through this again for? This is all fucked up. And then, you know, breaking off with her and stuff. I think, I think there's a lot to like about this movie.
Bold move at the start of the film to bring up Vesper. Especially seeing as we all didn't like Madeline last film. It's like, why keep bringing up the best Bond girl?
I just think it immediately set the tone to be like, hey, this is going to be the culmination of Daniel Craig's Bond verse. Like, this is going to be, we're going all the way back to Casino Royale with stuff. We're going to hit it. He's going to finally get over that shit, or attempt to, and then get blown up at her grave. Yeah, and then it all goes wrong for him. But yeah, I think it's good.
Cool. So I guess the question, what next for Bond? Will we get James Bond fighting his way through hell, trying to get back to life? That's what I want.
It's just going to be...
James Bond killing demons.
I'm going to say 2025, it is a brand new person, and it's just a reboot. What they decide to do with a new Bond is, I don't know. I feel like they would have to go someone younger, because they don't want to be switching Bonds. They want someone that can commit to doing several films. So you don't want someone that's too old. And I feel like they need to definitely rethink what they want to do with that Bond and what like major theme or character sort of thing you want to do. With Daniel Craig with Casino Royale, they took it very much back to basics, and that was true for most of the films. Like even in this one, when they started adding in some more gadgety stuff, it was still mostly sort of like grounded around a truer personal take on the character. So they need to like hone in on what they want to do with the new Bond, and then go from there and figure out what they want to do. And if they want to go, you know what, fuck it, we just want to impress all the motherfuckers complaining online who are like 50 years old and only like the old films. If that's the audience you want to target, go for gold. I won't be watching those films. Like if that's the way they like, because that's the thing people complain about Daniel Craig. Some people don't like him because several of these films aren't like, you know, like between this, I guarantee you'll see people go, this isn't a real James Bond movie, much like they called the complaint about Skyfall was, this isn't a real James Bond movie. You'll see all of that. And if they want to go back so they can have that audience come back in and be happy, I'm sure I'll watch the first one and go, all right, I can understand what you're doing. And not for me. And I'll kind of peace out that stage. But yeah, I'm going to say 2025 would be my guess, because they said they're going to start looking for the new Bond next year. They then have to cast the Bond. They have to write the movie. They have to film the movie. So I'm going to say 2025.
I don't think they go back.
Earliest.
I don't think they go back at all. I think they keep moving forward with their narrative style. I think they have to go with the younger Bond because they have done the old man Bond storyline kind of to death now. Like the last couple of movies have kind of, not so this much, but there was kind of references to it being that Bond is an older gentleman and that he is semi falling apart in sections. I think I'll pitch this, right? And it's not something they're going to do, but I would love the first movie to have nothing to do with James Bond. I'd love it to not have, they won't do it, but to have no advertising, not call it a Bond movie, nothing, and have it be like your espionage, spy story, and then towards the end of the movie, the lead character gets named as James Bond or gets given the 007 position.
I hate to spoil it for you, but here's how you're going to find out the new Bond.
They will announce
a live
it.
stream event where the premise is literally we're going to reveal who the new Bond is.
Yes, no, they will do that, and it's disappointing. But at the same time, it'd be really cool if they did something like that, much to akin of, say, how they approached Split and then bringing that into that Invincible universe and everything. Not Invincible, but yeah. It's
I think obviously I don't know if they're going to do it so soon. I think they probably do want to do it so soon. I guess it's interesting with obviously MGM where it is about to be bought by Amazon. I assume the producers of the Bond films probably want to get a quick turnaround on the next entry, seeing as it's been 6 years since they made the last film. I don't really mind who plays Bond. I think it'll be interesting who the creative teams are going forward. I think I would love for the next Bond to just be a bunch of one-shots, just, no connecting story and that kind of stuff, and then get reasonably big name directors or auteur directors to come in, tell a story,
That's why you can get Christopher Nolan and whatever else.
Yeah, if Christopher Nolan wants to make a James Bond movie, why aren't you letting the biggest director in the world directing a James Bond movie? Especially now that he's not working exclusively for Warner Brothers.
I guarantee he would want to do multiple. That's the problem with the Nolan thing.
I don't know. I think he'd be happy with just one.
He might, but I feel like he would end up wanting to do several. We shall see. But it's not a bad idea. The only reason I'd say that's not going to happen is because, like, in the realm of Marvel movies we live in now, it's all about sequels and universes and.
Yeah, but people are getting sick of that. So some people. Buddy.
But at the same time, I think this is the first time Bond has had an obvious connected storyline, and I think people have really liked that. Yes, some of the movies have.
That's why you can't do the same thing again. You have to do something different.
I don't know. I don't think
as Edgar Wright needs, we need chalky milk after we've had this healthy meal. Yeah. I would also, like I said, I'd love to have a spin-off movie with Lashana Lynch's character and the current MI6 team, because you assume when the new Bond comes in, they're all going to go.
I just don't want Q to go. Just keep Q and M.
I mean, they could do like they did with Judi Dench, yeah.
They do the classics like they did with Judi Dench, and John Cleese was around for a little while. Was he?
Yeah,
only Pierce Brosnan.
I feel like he was in a lot.
Cleese
he might have just been Brosnan.
He might have been Brosnan. But I feel like if he kept those two, maybe keep Moneypenny, and just have it as being they're the characters we're not going to recreate those, because I love New Q. New Q is maybe my favorite character in the current, the Craig Bond verse, for multiple reasons. I just appreciate him and how much.
Do you appreciate that he learned his lesson this time? He's like,
do you know what this has been? Do you know what this has been?
Let me put it on this one that's not connected to anything.
Well, we don't know that one.
That's what he did. That's why he didn't put it on the one he had all the information on. So.
But it was linked because he got the information from there, came over.
No, he pulled it out and put it back in. Put it in the
did he really? I did not.
Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't see that. Okay, that's pretty cool. Good on him.
Fake fan.
Good on him for learning. Fake fan? Fuck off.
Fake IT person. Can't
Fake
notice when
IT
people pull out
No,
USB
I was
sticks
just
out.
trying not to, ruin. Just trying not to ruin my my experience like I ruined it during Skyfall.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to learn something once. Make a mistake once. Never happen again. Alright. For all these James Bond movies of Daniel Craig's, been going through the music. So this time we've got No Time to Die by Billie Eilish. Kieran, what did you think of the song?
Song's good.
We've had
with the
2 years of listening to it.
Well, yes. I don't think it's something that I've fully recognized. I think it's a good song. I think this is my favorite title sequence out of the lot, though. I think the combination of the graphical design of this plus the song over the top, I think really set the stage for Daniel Craig's favorite Bond movie, and I think he did a great job. As much as I love Casino Royale's opening, I think this is probably the best of the lot.
Dylan?
Yeah, really liked it when I heard it 10 years ago. But yeah, it's good. I obviously like Billie Eilish, so I like the song. The opening title card and everything's really good. I'd probably put it second in my list.
Well, we're about to do lists, but yes. Yeah, I liked it as well. I haven't really listened to it in the last however long. But yeah, I think the title sequence is really good, and obviously they teamed it up with the line, whatever line, like in the past or whatever. Then obviously have Vesper's silhouette like show up in the intro titles again, of course. But yeah, lots of creepy masks and flowers and stuff, which makes more sense after the movies, after you watch the movie. Yeah, it's really good. All right, so let's do our definitive rankings of the music of Daniel Craig's run as James Bond. I'll go first because I've actually got my list prepared, so I'll give you a second to think about yours. It shouldn't be that difficult because we've pretty much ranked them as we've gone along. But number 1, Skyfall by Adele. Number 2, No Time to Die by Billie Eilish. Number 3 is You Know My Name by Christoph Cornell. Number 4 is Another Way to Die by Jack White and Alicia Keys. And number 5, Writing on the Wall by Sam Smith. Ciaran.
Okay, Skyfall by Adele. This Billie Eilish song that I can't remember the name of.
It's literally the name of the movie.
No Time to Die. Is it actually? Man, what a fucking... Know My Name, Chris Cornell. Writing on the Wall, Sam Smith. And then the Quantum of Solace one by White Stripes and the Leech Keys.
Dylan.
Mine's just Ash's list, but move your last place into third place.
Okay. So Skyfall, No Time to Die, Writings on the Wall, You Know My Name, Another Way to Die.
At least I attempted to muddle my way through that list instead of fucking Dylan here piggybacking and then just trying to Lego block the fucking list.
Alright, to wrap up our road to No Time to Die, let's rank Daniel Craig's era as James Bond. Ciaran, what are your rankings from 1 to 5?
What the fuck? You just sprung
Just
this
out
on
of
us and
nowhere.
now I have to fucking hell. You just fucking ridiculous host. Sure. Number 1.
I like springing stuff on people. That's what I do.
Number 1, Skyfall. Number 2, Casino Royale. Number 3, No Time to Die. Number 4, Quantum of Solace. Number 5, Spectre.
Dylan.
I'm gonna. No, fuck it, I'm doing it. I mean, we just watched the movie, but it's like one of those things where I'm like, it's number 1, Skyfall. Number 2, No Time to Die. Number 3, Casino Royale. Number 4, Quantum of Solace. Number 5, Spectre.
Interesting. Yeah, mine's Skyfall, Casino Royale, No Time to Die.
Spectre and Quantum of Solace can just both go in the bin. Both go in the bin. What do you put, right? Either the hour and a half or whatever the length of Quantum of Solace was, which was kind of crap, or the actual offensive script that was written and presented to us that was called Spectre and we were supposed to believe was a good Bond movie.
Spectre, Quantum of Solace.
Oh, fucking hell.
Listen, at least Spectre built this relationship that we all came to love in this next film.
Did it build it? Did it build it, though?
It put it in there, you know?
Is this, by the
we
way...
got some good action.
Is this the only Bond movie that's got like an oxymoron title? Or at least the Daniel Craig ones.
Yeah, yes.
No Time to Die.
Hey?
I mean, did it imply that he was always going to die in the...
No, I mean, the title from the day they announced it, they're like, the title of this movie is No Time to Die, and little did we know, he indeed
was going to die.
Has time to die.
Well,
that was that was the problem that Rami Malek's character was trying to solve. You know, all these people apparently they just wanted to die, but they're so busy they didn't have an opportunity to die. So now he's put this poison out there; they'll just die like that. And everybody's happy.
Also that whole sub plan was never explained of what exactly he wanted to do other than fuck the whole world. But also, you know, both Quantum of Solace and Spectre were just filled with morons, so that's kind of the same as an oxymoron, right?
No, that's completely unrelated. Let us know what you thought of No Time to Die. What are your rankings for all Daniel Craig's films, all the music from Daniel Craig's films? Just let us know anything, everything. Explosion.com/Twitter or Explosion.com/Discord. You can jump in there, talk about stuff. It's all good. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tell people about the show. Of course, if you've only just listened to this, No Time to Die Spoilercast, go back. We did a whole road to No Time to Die, where we cover each of the films. Thus why we've been able to rank them all. And remember facts. So you can check that in the show notes. I'll put a link. And if you like this episode, or our entire Road to No Time to Die run, and thought it was worth $1 for that entire 5-podcast series, leave us go to explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.